So I'm Gilles Bolumar, I'm Director of Security for Sigfox, and my objective today is to give you a right overview of the security measure to protect the Sigfox landscape. So feel free to raise any question through the tools, and we will address, as Nicolas said, after the session. So the challenge of the IoT, comparing to what we know in other technical connected world and mainly on TCP/IP world based, the context of the IoT is completely different. The number of isolated devices, the propagation of the air on the air, the network infrastructure, different applications, the APIs, all these components involved in the whole communication process increase the complexity. And so we increase a lot what is called the surface of attacks and introduce more and more vulnerabilities. In this context, we have defined and enforced security measures adapt to the level of risk, conform to the regulation across the globe with a strong constraint, the famous P&L, and putting in the balance the good development effort, the good hardware cost, the cost of operability, etc. But also we have to adapt the security level to the value of the data. What is important as well is to keep in mind a key differentiator for us in the business, the power consumption. Increasing the level of security by using encryption at device level means more energy to transmit, and so we reduce the lifetime of the device, or that will require specific intervention on site, meaning increasing operational costs. So we have to keep in mind every time the right balance. From D1, we recognize security as one of the biggest challenges of the IoT, and rapidly understood its downside, the bad impact of the power consumption. But as we had the chance to start our global solution from a blank sheet, and so use and continue using the best practices to secure the global chain from the design, the different policies, internally or externally, the strategy, the people, the IT, etc. So we address all the security chain right now internally with the right level of balance, as mentioned before. And we continue to improve our security measure organization process on the day-to-day activity. Is our priority to provide the best service with the right security level. So let's focus now on the security mechanism within the Sigfox protocol. Comparing to other IoT solutions, we have deployed a dedicated network and is a key differentiator. It's not finished, as you said, but we continue to deploy this dedicated and fully dedicated network. We offer the capabilities to transport 12 bytes for the payload from a certified Sigfox ready device to the application server through our secured network. The small size of the frame associated to the low bit rate of the network will act as a deny of service protection solution and prevent the kind of attacks as we saw a few years ago with video cams, for instance, flooding the internet DNS server. The choice of the radio transmission, the ultra narrowband, will protect the network against jamming, and the base station deployed across the globe and connected through VPN to our data servers will transport on a secure way the frame captured. The messages, if authenticated and authorized, will be processed by our cloud and routed to the application server with the famous callback. That means that our network acts as a built-in firewall between devices and application server. As mentioned previously, will be processes after validation. As mentioned previously, the messages will be processed after validation by the cloud. For that, the Sigfox protocol offers the capabilities to transport information in the frame to first authenticate the sender, trust it, and at the same time accepting the message received, and avoid possible injection of traffic with a non-genuine device or spoofing. The second point is check the integrity of the message to be sure that nobody has intercepted and modified the payload, and so push a corrupt message to the application server. The third point is to offer an anti-replay functionality and be able to guarantee the confidentiality of the payload with your own end-to-end encryption solution on our service available in option. I remind that by default, we not encrypt the payload, but you have to keep in mind that we don't know which type of information is transported in the payload, how the coding has been done, and the parsing of the information. In other words, the first level of confidentiality is provided by the application itself. And before applying end-to-end encryption, keep in mind the balance between information value. For instance, room temperature is not a critical information, and the end device consumption, again, the famous balance. Warrant and to be able to guarantee the authentication of the sender and the integrity of the message, we are using a simple and efficient mechanism, the message authentication code. The MAC is generated by the sender through a symmetric cryptographic algorithm with more like IES 128 by using the payload itself and the private key stored in the device. The MAC is transported in the Sigfox radio frame with the payload and received by our cloud. With the payload received, the receiver will calculate a MAC because it's knowing the device ID contained in the frame as well, and compare the result with the received MAC. If the result is the same, we could consider the content of the payload and the device ID, authentic. If not, we discard the message. That's the first mission, authenticate and check integrity. Regarding the anti-replay mechanism, to avoid any replay of the message, we apply the concept of sequence number well known in TCP protocol to the Sigfox frame. A counter value incremented to each emission by the device itself is transported and compared to the previous value by the cloud. Because some message never have been received by the cloud for different reasons, the maintenance, the lack of network, etc., the cloud will apply the tolerance windows as we did with TCP. The tolerance windows to this counter will be considered all message within this floating tolerance windows. Other message will be discarded. As mentioned before, and by default, the payload it's not encrypted, But if for confidentiality reasons you want to use encryption, we offer a dedicated payload service encryption. We work with a specific research lab to elaborate a specific algorithm, always IES based, for limited payload. You don't have to provision any key. Encryption is done by Sigfox library with a session key derived from the network authentication key provided in the device during the provisioning. The payload decryption is done on the fly by Sigfox infrastructure before the callback. This mechanism is fully compliant with secure element integration within the device, and we will talk about secure element in the future slide. The advantage from ultra narrowband are huge. Using ultra narrowband offer a fantastic advantage against jamming. By sending a message on a narrow random frequency band, on 100 Hz, in the global operation frequency range, and associated to the spatial diversity of the base station. The spatial diversity is the number of stations who will receive the same message or covering the same area. More than 1,000 watts are needed to jam a base station. The size and cost of the jammer is simply huge. The other benefits of UNB is purely an operational aspect. In the public ESM band, using UNB will offer a strong robustness to the coexistence with other radio networks. So you have now better visibility on the security measure to protect the transport of message over the air. Let's have a view on the infrastructure. Over the world, our partners are deploying the Sigfox base station, sometimes in a hostile environment for different reasons, geopolitics, hacking, etc. For those reasons, we are using a trusted platform module, a TPM, to protect our intellectual properties and the credential used to set up the VPN tunnel with our DC. We also put in place a set of security measures to prevent capability to alter OS offline or online. And we bind the OS to the hardware. Comparing, just a remark on that, it's comparing to some other networks equipment on the market, no information are staying in the base station. Everything is transferred to the Sigfox cloud by using the double connectivity of each station. Let's have a quick view on the security measure to guarantee the availability of the data center. Worldwide deployed base stations are correctly connected on an active passive data center. The active and backup platform are localized in France in a reputable and well-known data center and fully synchronized to avoid loss of data and to reduce the recovery time in case of disaster. Each data center uses two main internet accesses, and the third transit operator used as emergency. We have a deny of service or distributed deny of service protection solution in front of the data center. This solution is daily updated and it's fully managed by a dedicated partner. We are using a staging platform with a real clone of the production environment and in parallel of the production for test and validation purpose. Inside the data center, we use a best practice to build our systems. All components have a redundant part, avoiding a single point of contact, a single point of failure, whatever the application. A multiple layer architecture has been chosen to guarantee the availability and security of each component. The different flow, the web's flow from portal, API, messages, etc., are segmented, and administrative access are used a secure out-of-band line and secure and dedicated out-of-line band. Just some point on the device. As you know, except what we could call a demo device, for instance, the Sensit, we don't produce any device at Sigfox. But the device security is one of our concerns because device is containing authentication credential to communicate on the Sigfox network. Remember the MAC mechanism presented previously. This credential must be protected within the device to avoid any compromission. Basically, we could consider 3 different levels of protection of this credential on the device landscape. The storing only for non-critical device, the software protected with homemade encryption or authentication keys spread somewhere in the code, and a tamper-resistant mode by using a secure element. We at Sigfox have designed with partner a specific secure element. A secure element is a hardware component containing and protecting the credential, and so avoiding any compromission or device cloning. It guarantees the unicity of the device on the network, and it's fully protecting the credential. So just a review on the encryption, requirement or capabilities before leaving. So we have the capability to apply strong security measures from the module to the core infrastructure. On device, a secure element could be available to protect the key information and store the secure asset, such as the network authentication code with a key component to access to the network. We could use your own or our payload encryption service to encrypt the data on the network. And on our side, we use hardware secure module installed by default in the data center, where all cryptographic keys are stored and used for all cryptographic computation. So with that, you have the means to build a real secure communication on our network. But again and again, what you have to keep in mind it's a balance and adapt your security level to your business, because that's the key of the security. So I'd like to thank everybody to join this this webinar with a quick overview of the security at Sigfox and what capabilities to protect our communication on our network. Feel free to raise any concern about security at security@sigfox.com, and we will address your concern or request and answer to you after that. Thanks, everybody.
Yes, thank you, Gilles. Great presentation. I think everybody has a better understanding about all security mechanism, be it on the sensor level, payload protection, and cloud level security mechanisms. To all attendees, so we have some time for question and answers. So please use the questions panel you have on the GoToWebinar interface to ask any question, and we will do our best to address them right now. Be it a question you have, a general question about Sigfox, something you read and you're online and you're unsure about the truth behind it, some concern that you may have. Of course, anything confidential or closely related to one commercial project that you have, reach out through email if you don't want to share that here, which is totally understandable. But so please send any question our way. We know that security is a big topic for everything related to IoT. So that's why thank you again, Gilles, for giving us some of your precious time and to share all that with our partners. So I am looking right now at the question. We had one question from Stefan, I don't know how to say it, was asking regarding payload encryption. Gilles, do you know what Sigfox library version is required for payload encryption?
I'm not sure about the version. No, but I will address this point.
Okay, good. Stefan, we'll answer you by, through email to all other people. So the Sigfox library is the compiled software that Sigfox provide to module makers or silicon vendors to integrate in their own modules or systems. Okay, so we have another question from Salvador, who is asking how are the antennas to the hardware, how are those antennas or stations protected in order to provide secure and continuous communication?
The antenna itself or the base station? So
yeah, I think you mean the base station.
Okay, so well, our partner have a dedicated requirement to cover their territory. The coverage requirement needs that we have to cover the same area, radio area, with more than one base station. For instance, in France, one message is received by between 7 and 8 base stations. That means that even if it's what we called, in the presentation the spatial diversity. That means that even if one base station goes down, the other one could be able to serve and to capture the message sent by the device in the same area. So we don't protect the antenna itself. We just want to be sure that due to the diversity spatial diversity, we are able to provide the service whatever the area.
Thank you, Gilles. Salvador, let me know. I hope it answers your question. And okay, I have no more questions open. So, which shows that the presentation was pretty good as it covered all the points, as we don't have much questions. So let us know. Let's wait 1 minute. If you have any more questions, please ask it, and then we will wrap up this session. So again, as a reminder, as I said in the introduction, so those webinars are part of a series that we are running for all Sigfox partners and customers, be it students, professors, entrepreneurs, corporates, whoever willing to understand more about Sigfox, its technology, its use cases, its services. And we are running them twice a month, trying to alternate between more business-focused presentation and more technology-focused ones. So today we talked about security. Last week was about the Sigfox Monarch service, which is now available on YouTube on the Sigfox playlist. And our next session will be on the beginning of February, and we will talk about a program called the Hacking House, which is an innovation program run by Sigfox, dedicated to fast learning for students and young professionals and addressing industry pain points and market needs. So Gilles, it looks like we don't have any more questions.
Perfect.
So it looks like everybody got what they were looking for for today's presentation. Basically, I asked in the beginning, and we had roughly the same amount of people looking about information regarding sensor level and cloud level security. So that shows the diversity of issues when we speak about IoT projects. But it looks like everybody got the information they were looking for, which is great. So thank you again for your time. And as for everyone, feel free to reach out if you have a very precise security concern or question. You have the email, which is shown on the screen right now, security@sigfox.com. And otherwise, feel free to contact your usual point of contact at Sigfox. So thank you again, Gilles.
Thank you. Thanks to you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.